Thank you so much for taking the time to watch our demonstration on the Prism HRIS system through Empower HR. The first screen that you're seeing here is going to be our manager login to the portal. And what I want to show you today is what it looks like to enter a new hire into the system, how they're going to go through their onboarding process with the assistance of our employee experience team, and then go over some other high-level manager functions within the platform itself. So first and foremost, we'll want to log into our database here. Now, the screen that you're initially presented with here is your dashboard as a manager. This can be customized based on the access of the managers in your organization, and we can touch on that a little bit later. To go ahead and enter the new hire in the system, there's two ways to enter this information. You can navigate under My Employees for the new hire option here at the top, or my personal preference is utilizing the search bar and typing new hire and selecting the applicable application. You'll be presented with a form to fill out with the new hire's information. Everything that is outlined in red is going to be the minimum qualifications that need to be filled out to proceed and enter them through the system. If you are using the applicant tracking system, you can pull their information by using the menu bar at the top right here, the three little lines, selecting candidates, and you'll see the list of your employees here. If you're not using that, it's as simple as just entering the information in the fields. We'll start by selecting our worksite location here by clicking on our hyperlink, the correct location, and as you see, that information starts to populate, and we'll work our way down. Once you have finished entering that information and everything looks good, simply click Save at the bottom of the screen here, and this is going to send a notification to our team here at Empower, alerting us of the new hire within your organization. Our employee experience team will then reach out to that employee and send them a welcome email, including instructions on how to get onboarded within the system. If there's any other customized forms that you want to have sent out with that welcome email, they'll also be able to send that out as well. The next tab here at the top of my screen is going to show you what it looks like for the employee to go through their onboarding experience. So when they first log in, they have a menu that's going to congratulate them on their position with your organization. On the left, they've got a workflow set up, starting with updating personal information. By clicking on this, it gives the employee the chance to update any of their personal details in the system. So anything that you initially submitted will be there. If they needed to make changes, they can do so from here. They've got their work email if they want to put that in there, their address. They can go ahead and click next. The system will collect emergency contact information by default, so that will need to be filled out before they can proceed. And then on the next page, they have some other details that they can update. The next step that they'll be working through is their I-9 form. If they have any questions on the I-9 form, we do have a handy hyperlink that's pinned to the top here, so the employee can click here for more instructions. Our team is also able to assist with any questions for the new hire as well. You'll see that they can simply scroll down, verify the information, and proceed through the screens by clicking next at the bottom right. Now, once all of the information is completed for the Form I-9 and the onboarding workflow is completed, you will receive a notification alerting you that this has been tidied up in the system and that you can go in and take care of that Section 2 portion. But after that I-9 form is completed by the employee, they can then move on to their tax forms. They'll be able to fill out a new W-4 on file and update any kind of state taxation elections that they need to. So this will take them through the applicable forms based on where they're living. They also can come back to their personal profile at any time and update their W-4 as needed. Or if they're moving from state to state, they can update them again later on. The next step is their direct deposit setup. So the system can hold up to 99 different accounts per employee. So definitely can manage multiple accounts if they need to. The information can be either as a fixed amount, a percentage, or all of it into one account. If they do need assistance with this, they can call our employee experience team. Every once in a while, we will need to add a new routing number into the system, but that is a super quick process on our end. Next step for the employee is going to be their new hire orientation forms. So this is something that we set up typically with your employee handbook if you have one on file, and we present the employee with a version of the handbook to review during their onboarding and do an electronic sign-off on. Now, if you have any other documents that you want to have a digital sign-off on for your employees during this process, we can build those into the system. There's also a hyperlink that allows them to download this so they can view it in real time, and they will have the opportunity to review these documents in their employee portal after onboarding. So this isn't the only time they have access to this. So this is just initially for their new hire process. And if they want to go ahead and click next, they are presented with a box explaining to them that they've received a copy of the handbook. Do they agree? And to go ahead and sign. So we'll check the box and then they can click I agree or disagree. And they will need to go through each one of these to complete the workflow. The last step in the onboarding process would be the new hire benefit enrollment. So if the employee is eligible for benefits, they will be able to go through and make their eligible selections. Now, those selections are going to be based upon what your company offers. So whether that's medical, dental, and vision, if you have flexible spending accounts, so on and so forth, we can have that tailored in the system. It'll let the employee know how many days they have left to complete at the top, and then what the estimated per payroll period cost is going to be. So this is helpful for them to understand what would be coming out for each payroll as well. Once everything is completed by the employee, they can go ahead and click review and submit. And then again, our team will get notified of the completion and your team will be notified as well. So you can go in and take care of the Section 2 verification in Prism. I'm going to toggle back to the manager portal that we were just in and go back to our dashboard here. Now, as I had previously mentioned when we started the demonstration, this is your main landing page as a manager user within Prism. Now, this is customizable, so if you have managers that need to have access to the system, that maybe they shouldn't see payroll information, the payroll quadrant here on the bottom left can be toggled off. As you can see too, under my employees, I have access to a whole lot of employees at my organization. Now, if somebody should only see their direct reports, we can also have that customized so there's a smaller amount of employees visible to that manager. You'll notice the other two quadrants at the top here are going to be my favorites, so areas of the system that maybe you're frequenting, you can pin here. And then the top right is the support team. So these are the dedicated team members here at Empower that are assigned to your account for quick access for you to view if you need to get in contact with them at any time. The menu bar at the top has our Empower HR logo. Think of this as your refresh button. So if I click that, it's just going to refresh and bring me back to the home page no matter where I am in the system. The next menu option is My Company. So this is going to show details about how your organization is set up, such as any departments or divisions, positions, locations, shifts, anything like that that has been utilized to build out your organization within the system. Our team does take care of the maintenance for these and will take care of setting up new ones as needed for you. Under My Employees, this is where a lot of your HR change functions are housed. So as you saw before, we have our new hire option here. We can get to our onboarding system. So this is where those Section 2s would be taken care of. If we need to do pay rate changes, position changes, rehires in the system, and terminations, this is where we're going to want to come for that. Again, that can all be searched for in the search bar as well and take you to the same place. Under My Payrolls, you'll find very common payroll information. For example, any kind of employee garnishments that you might want to view within the system, if you're operating any employee loans in the database, scheduled payments and deductions. If you need to reprint a payroll voucher, which is essentially a check stub for an employee, you can do so from here as well. Now, if you're partnering with our NovaTime system, NovaTime can be linked for a single sign-on directly from the My Payrolls menu here. Otherwise, your timesheet entry is also found down here below. And we'll dive into the timesheet entry a little later on in the demonstration. To the right of My Payrolls, we have this little piece of paper icon. We've got about 65 pre-populated reports in the system. So it's a fantastic ability for reporting within the database. The little star icon is just another area for you to view your favorites. So Prism will give you a lot of different options to get to the same place. It just depends on how you want to navigate the system, what's comfortable for you, and how it's easier for you to get your day done. Then we've got our search bar, as you saw, I utilized that before to search through various portions of the system. To the right of that is our messaging icon. Any kind of messages that are coming through the system will be populated here. So for example, we can see we've got our action required for I-9 verifications. If we scroll down, we also have some information about our open enrollment. If you have one set up through the system, we can definitely get communication sent out as reminders. My manager user is also somebody who's approving payroll, so I am getting my payroll approval needed notifications from the system here, which is fantastic. And then to the right, we have our approvals. So any approvals that are within the Prism system that are assigned to me are going to be listed at the top. Anything that's potentially available to me that I can grab and assign to myself is at the bottom here. Typically, these are going to be your I-9 Section 2s or leave requests. So in this case here, we can see I have a PTO request for my employee, Lisa. If I want to go ahead and review this, I can simply click Leave Request, and I can take a look at those details that she submitted and review and decide if I want to approve or deny directly from the sheet. I'm going to go back here. And then I wanted to show you a second part of the system that we have available to you. As I showed you previously, we have about 65 reporting options within the system that are pre-populated. We also have a module called Data Retriever that's accessible by typing in data in the search bar. Data Retriever is a quick system for ad hoc or customized reporting. It's a 3-step process. So step 1 would be to select the company that you want to run the data from. Step 2 is going to be all of our data fields. So each one of these plus signs will expand out so you can drill down into the specific details you want to capture. And then step 3 would be any additional totals you want to add. So for example, maybe I just want to pull this report and I just want the first name and last name of my employees. And let's say I want to have their emergency contact information. I'm going to toggle the whole emergency contact information. And I don't really need anything from step 3, so I'm going to go ahead and click Run. And what this does is it's going to generate a report for me in just a few seconds within the Prism module. And I can go ahead and see all the employees that I have currently in the system and who has their emergency contact data on file. I can then export the report at the top here, and I can manipulate that in Excel further if I want. So this is just a nice tool to have if you want to take a look at just a specific set of data and not have to worry about manipulating a larger report down or just quick data verification purposes. I'll go back to the home page here. So next thing I want to show you today is how to take a look at those employees that you have in the system. You'll notice that the employees are located on the bottom right quadrant, and everyone is going to be hyperlinked. So to simply open a record, just click on it. And you see that this is kind of like your personal HR file for the employee. We have several file tabs at the top of the screen here. And the first one is going to be called Name, and it gives you basically an employment snapshot of your employee. So we can see here that Lisa Bennett is active with us full-time in her current position as a chef. I do have a couple other hyperlinks directly within the window here for her. I have a status type change and a position change. So if you remember earlier, those were also found under the My Employee section at the top, but also within the employee record, I can make changes directly. So if I needed to change Lisa's position, let's say she's getting a promotion, I can simply click Position Change. Again, I can see where she currently is within our organization. Click on the hyperlink that says New Position Code, and we'll promote her to Superhero today. I'll tell the system when I want this to take into effect. And then the reason code. Reason code is optional, but I'm going to put in that she was promoted, and then I can click Save. And this will take into effect on the date that we have selected. Similar process with status type change. So currently she's active and full-time. If she needed to pop down perhaps to part-time, we can take a look at the employment status here, make sure she's still active, employment type, and drop her down to part-time. We can select the date and then a reason, and then save. Now moving over in her HR record under the Personal tab, most of this information the employee does have access to update on their own. The only thing managers would probably want to see from here is going to be the emergency contact information, which is housed in the middle. But this has all other additional personal details for the employee. Under the Address tab, this is going to house any addresses the employee has on file. So their residential address would be their physical address. If they have a mailing address that's separate, such as a PO box, that would be put under the mailing address here. And then the W-2 address, if for any reason the employee wants their W-2s physically mailed elsewhere, that can be populated here. There's also various forms of phone numbers and email addresses found under this tab. Under the Work tab, this will house all of the details specific to their employment with you. So any applicable status dates will be found at the top of the screen, perhaps if they were originally hired and rehired within the organization, or seniority dates will also be found. Assignments within their data set. So what kind of data is assigned for their worksite location, department, project, work shift, anything like that that's specific to them and their employment can be updated and maintained here. If I wanted to change the worksite location, I can simply click on worksite location, see the worksite locations that I have currently set up, and make a new selection. I will tell the system that yes, I want that to update the timesheet, and then I can click save at the bottom. So you can see it's very easy to make updates within the system. It's just a couple of clicks of the button. You also can assign supervisors within the system. So on the right here, we can see who the employee is reporting to. The next tab we have is the Pay tab. So at the top left of the screen, we're able to see what kind of pay group they're associated with and what pay period. So is this a weekly payroll, a semi-monthly payroll? How is your organization structured? We can then tell the system if they're an hourly or salaried employee, and if there should be standard hours that populate on the timesheet. So typically with salary, this will have a checkbox here. As you can see, we have a weekly payroll. So Lisa is being automatically paid 40 hours on her payroll. On the right side of the screen here at the top, you can see their annual pay rate broken down to an hourly rate, or if they're an hourly employee, you can see their hourly rate and rolled up into an annualized pay. Now to make a pay rate change, you'll see we also have a hyperlink here. So directly from the employee record, I can do this. I'm going to click on that. Again, I can see a snapshot of the current pay that Lisa has. So if I want to bump her up a bit, I'll just put in her new annualized salary amount since she's a salaried employee. Select per year. And now the system is recognizing that based on her pay period and her salary, that it's going to auto-populate those additional 40 hours and onto the timesheet. We can go ahead and select our date and put any kind of reason in and click save. Now, all payroll notifications do end with the Empower team for final approval. Your dedicated payroll team will review these just to make sure that everything was entered correctly and that perhaps there were no errors. In case, heaven forbid, maybe instead of 75,000, somebody put 750,000 and maybe didn't catch that. Our payroll team is trained to review and know your payroll well enough to reach out to you and question something that might look to be a discrepancy, just to make sure that there are no errors and that people are being paid incorrectly. At the bottom of the screen, you do have a pay rate history menu. So any pay rate changes that have happened within the system will be loaded here. So you can see any kind of change percent, change amount, as well as any kind of standard hours that might have changed along with that annual pay. All right, the next tab that we have under their record is the tax tab. This will allow you to see any kind of taxation setup for the employee, what their federal tax filing is currently set as, if they have any additional deductions or overrides applied. And then below that, you'll have any state tax filings. So as I mentioned during the new hire onboarding, the employee can go back in their system and update this at any time. So if they're going through a marriage and they want to change from single perhaps to married filing jointly, they can do that directly from their employee portal. You do not have to necessarily manage this for them. And again, if they're working across multiple states or relocating, their states can be updated and reflected then here. The next tab is the direct deposit tab. So you do have visibility to see what accounts are on file for the employee. This is something that can be toggled off as well as the pay tab if you have managers within the organization that should not have visibility into pay. Again, the employee can update this at any time within their portal. Just know that you simply have visibility here. You can help add them by clicking a plus sign here, and you can delete them by clicking on the X and then proceeding within the system. Skills and education is another tab that we have. This is more or less optional based on your organization. So if you want to keep track of perhaps maybe communication classes that your employee has had within the organization, if there's maybe a leadership program or path that you're hosting, or if there's certifications that they have that are required for their job, continuing education or state licensing, This is a great area where you can keep that information on file. You can also keep education on file. Perhaps if you've got interns and you need to make sure that you have noted where their school is, this is a great part of the system for that. The property tab is another optional feature for you. So this will allow you to load any kind of information on company issued items that have been given to the employee. For example, you can see here we have a cell phone, a key fob, and a laptop listed for Lisa. We can see the dates that these were issued to her. We have a serial number associated with the laptop, as well as property values for all three, and any kind of comment. So we can see that her cell phone that was issued to her is an iPhone 8. Her key fob is used to access the main building, and her laptop was also provided with access to the internal storage drive. You can also put vehicle information in here or auto insurance policies, but this has been getting more popular with more and more people working remote, so it's a very good place to keep this on file. The last portion of the employee profile here that I'd like to show you is under the menu option here at the top right. We have a documents repository portal. So if you need to upload any specific documents for the employee, you can upload them directly to their file right here. Simply click on load a document and browse your computer for it. You can see Lisa has a couple already on file here. And then on the right, we have this option that says ESS. This means that this is going to be linked to the employee self-service portal. So that is the same portal that I had mentioned previously where the handbook can be stored or any other company documents. So in this case for Lisa, we can see that she has a write-up that was put into her system, and it's also checkmarked, which means that she's going to be able to then view this in her own employee portal when she logs in. So if you want to post anything in here, feel free to do so, and then just remember that you can give the employee visibility or not. I'm going to close out of that. Now, I know we took a look at what it looked like to hire an employee. So the opposite of that then that we should look at today is the termination for an employee. So if we do need to terminate an employee, I like to simply type in termination here at the top of the screen, select employee termination, and then I have my employee termination window. I'm able to select my employee, so I can either use the hyperlink here and search for my employee if I have a lot of people, or you can also just start free typing their name in the box here. So I've pulled up Lisa. I can select then from my termination codes that she's been terminated. My reason code, we do have several options in the system. We typically advise to stick with involuntary or voluntary termination. In this case, I'm going to say that she's been voluntary terminated and then mark my date. I can tell the system if it's okay to rehire her for any reason. Maybe she wants to come back in the future. This is not required, but just know that you can tell the system that you do not want them to be rehired. And then I can leave a termination explanation if I want. Maybe she's a great employee and she's just moving with her family. We do also have an option for unpaid PTO payout. So if that's something that's set up for your organization based on your PTO setup, you can tell the system if you want to add the unpaid PTO to the current payroll. Now, of course, if you have any kind of severance packages or anything additional or anything unique for these payrolls for terminated employees, our payroll team will partner with you to make sure that those are paid out accordingly, as well as the accordance with any state or local laws. Once you go ahead and click save here, our team is notified of that termination, and we'll go ahead and be able to reach out to the employee if their benefit needs to be terminated, if they should be eligible for any kind of COBRA coverage. We'll make sure to help with that offboarding process. I'm going to go back to our main page here, and I do want to take some time to show you what the payroll timesheet looks like. So under my payrolls here, we can go ahead and select timesheet entry. Now the system will always show you your current payroll that's available to you. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And this is going to load and show you all of the employees that you have on this particular payroll. And you'll see that we've got several different columns on the screen here. So these can be customized for based on the pay codes that you're frequently using. We also have way more than just the pay codes that you're seeing on here in the system, but we want to make it user-friendly for you. You'll also note that under my regular column here, I've got a couple people that already have hours. these are my salaried employees that are going to be auto-populated on the timesheet. So whether or not you have a couple of hourly people and you need to add time for them, that's as simple as just adding directly to the timesheet like so. Or depending on any kind of time and attendance system that you're using, we can work to build an import-export file from your current one to get that imported into our database. Again, just really depends on how you like to use the system, what kind of control you want to have over everything. If you need to have bonuses or commissions or anything additional added, again, it's the same process. We can just put it directly on the timesheet here, do a commission of $2,000. And that's the same process too. If you don't want to manually add that to the timesheet, you can send us that in an Excel file. Our payroll team can add that for you. Now, if we scroll over, we have a couple other columns here. We do have an other earnings and PTO. So the PTO column will show when there's been PTO applied to the payroll. Other earnings will show, if we click on that, any additional scheduled payments that we have for the employee. So you can see in this case, Lisa's got a reoccurring bonus, and then she's also got some other earnings as well as an expense reimbursement for her cell phone. So we can tell the system if this should be running for 1 pay period, 2 pay periods, if it should run indefinitely on the first pay period of the month, whatever that looks like, we can have that set up and automated for you. We also have a nice feature on the timesheet. So while you're going ahead and entering hours and verifying any kind of pay, if you have any questions on the employee's data, you'll see that all the way on the right here, we have these little silhouette icons. This is going to be a link back to their employee profile. So if I go ahead and click on this little one, it's going to open up Lisa's profile for me. I'm able to see all of her information without having to leave that timesheet. So then I feel that I can comfortably review payroll and toggle back and forth as needed. So once you're satisfied with the timesheet entry, all you need to do to finalize payroll is click the finalize button. What that does is it sends notification to the payroll team here at Empower. We take over that payroll process and start reviewing. So if we need to add any of those manual pay for you, those commissions or bonuses or retro pay, anything like that, we'll proceed with adding that at that point, as well as reviewing that payroll check journal and invoice, comparing the benefits that we have set up for the employees, making sure those elections are okay, taking a look at anything else that would be pertinent to the payroll for your individual employees. And then you're presented with the option to go ahead and finalize payroll on your end. It's also important to note that on this sheet here, if you need to leave at any time, anything that you enter on here is saved immediately. So if you need to leave for anything and come back later, that's okay. There's no save button. You can just go ahead and click return. I'm going to go back to my home page here and just show you what a couple sample payroll reports look like. So accessing your payroll history, you can either have that right here at the top, or I have it pinned to my favorite here. And I just want to point out that under the menu bar at the top right is where you can remove and add things from favorites. So in this case, I'm in my payroll history. I can see that I've had a recent payroll here and I want to review the reports for it. I can also go ahead and see individual vouchers for the employees under this window. And then the little piece of paper icon at the top is going to link me to my payroll reports. So if I click that, it's going to show me all of my standard ones that are populated with payroll. So for the purpose of today, I want to show you the payroll check journal report. And this can be customized whether or not you want it done by department or location, or for my example here, I have it in alphabetical order. You're able to see from here, net pay at the bottom left. You can see the payroll period start and end dates and check date, the type of pay that the employee was issued, any of those deductions that have come out for the employee, as well as any employer taxes and or contributions. We scroll down to the bottom, we'll have our running totals as well. Similar to that would be our invoice for payroll. Invoice can also be set up and customized out. So this particular invoice is broken out by departments. So if that's something that you like, we can get that set up. But if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see what the simplistic invoice is going to look like with all of our totals. So we can see any kind of taxes, If we have new employee setup fees, so those will also always show you the name of the new employee. So it's really easy to refer back to and understand what the invoice is showing you. Any kind of additional setup will be also on here. So for example, we can see that we have union dues here, and then we have a client sponsored 401k. There are a couple additional other payroll reports in the system here that are auto-populated if you want to review those at any time. We'll go ahead and close out of that. Go back to our home page. So those are going to be the main functions within the Prism platform for manager users. We also have a couple options at the top right here. If you ever need help within the system, any screen that you're looking at will either have this little video help icon or the question bubble, which is just the standard help. What this does is it's going to open up a new window for you. And based on what you're looking at, it's going to either give you a video of what you want to see. So for example, we're on the home page here. It's going to tell us how to navigate Prism HR. And then if we click on the little help bubble, it's going to give us really the same information, but what it's going to do is present it to us in an interactive PDF format. So it's going to list out for me what can I see here on the home page, and then if I want to toggle through, I can click on the additional hyperlinks. So a really good example for this is, let me go back to my pay rate change screen. So again, I've got that one pinned to my favorites here. And maybe I'm not sure how to enter a pay rate change, or I don't, I'm in a hurry and I really need to get it done quick. I need an answer right away. I can click on this little question bubble here, and it's going to give me instructions for making a pay rate change for an employee. So it's fantastic because it opens up in another window for you, so you can pull this, minimize it and work on the main screen as needed. No need to toggle back and forth and figure out where you were in the system. So just really great things within the Prism system to help you out when needed. All right, I'm back in my home page here. So the very last thing that I want to note within the system are this is a single sign-on platform. So you as a manager, if you're also an employee within the organization, you don't have to worry about multiple logins and passwords, things like that. These are linked together. So you can click the little silhouette icon here at the top, and you can toggle over to your employee portal. You also have an option to change your password, and then lastly, sign out. I want to take a minute to show you the employee portal, as your employee portal will look pretty much the same as every other employee within the organization. So it's super helpful to review this so you can understand maybe if your employees have any questions on the layout or where to go within the database, you have the same visibility. So for purposes of this, it's going to open in a secondary window for me since it's a single sign-on. And then I'm presented with my home page. So this homepage is also customizable based on what we need to do to set up your organization, but any recent pay statements would be pinned here at the top for you. A snapshot of the benefits that the employee might be enrolled in are going to be below. You'll have a paid time off screen, any kind of new messages, so you can see you've got your manager notifications in here as well. Now the employees will typically probably see notifications such as if their their PTO has been approved, or any kind of open enrollment notifications. There's also life events available. So if you need to go ahead and submit anything to our employee experience team, maybe you're going through a birth or an adoption or a marriage and have a qualifying event that you need, you can start that process from here. And if you need to submit time off, it's as simple as clicking on request time off. The system will load and you'll be able to select what kind of bucket you're having, whether that's paid time off, sick, vacation, however your organization is structured. Make your start date and your end date. You can add any kind of comments if you want, update the hours if that's allowed. So maybe you can use less than 8 hours per day. I can delete them if I need to, and then click submit. Back at the home page, if you ever need to update any of your personal information, you do have that personal option right here at the top left. You can take a look at your employment summary, update your contact info, address, emergency contact. You can see there's a lot of options here. You also can go ahead and review your benefits, so you can drill down more into those if you want. And then under your pay option, you can review your pay history, a direct deposit. So again, like I said, this is exactly where the employee would go if they need to update their direct deposit. We can see that we currently have one account here on file. We can add an account. And there's a quick calculator in here as well if they want to work on maybe making different allocations across the accounts. Another option for paid time off on the left-hand side. Now the documents, this is the section where I was talking about earlier. So if you needed to upload any files specific for your employee, it'll be available to them here. We'll also have any company specific documents loaded for the employee, such as the handbook or anything particular to benefits like an enrollment guide or coverage guide. If there's any guidelines around your 401k or any unique policies within the organization, we can have those readily available to the employee at any time here. The taxes, so under here again, the employee can update their tax withholding at any time, and then the electronic W-2s will be posted here when available. So they are available, they can select the year that they've been issued from here and download directly to their computer. Back to the home page, I want to point out that not only do we have a contact us option built in directly from here that'll get you connected directly with our employee experience team, but at the very bottom here, we do have a language option. We do have the option to toggle this into Spanish. So if you do have a heavily Spanish speaking population, this can be translated into Spanish for ease of use for those employees. I'm going to close out of that. So that will conclude the demonstration today for the Prism HR platform. So key things to remember: single sign-on, one-stop shop within the system. So no need to worry about multiple logins or credentials. We can completely customize the user access for visibility purposes within the system and tailor that as your company needs. Thank you so much again. If you have any questions, please reach out to your support team.